Time is now, right? Grand Rising family, what's happening? This is another new Black World Order TV Productions. Chopper. Yeah, family. So what we are talking about today is photons, light path information, right? We want to bring an end to the troll, right? And the word two adds up to 58 and the word troll adds up to 58. But you're going to have to study the number path information to understand how we got 58 for the word troll, because it's not behaving in the normal pattern of simple English gematria. It is in reverse. So we know that the alphabets add up from A to Z. A is a 1, Z is a 26, but when we reverse it, the Z becomes a 1 and the A becomes a 26, and we count backwards. So when you add up backwards, right, in reverse gematria, troll adds up to 58. And troll becomes important when we talk about the observer effect, when we talk about the detectors, right? So I was listening to the God frequency thing, right? And this is shots fired out to Alim Bey. He says that we're light beings, right? We're light beings. Then he would have to explain, right, why we do not behave like the photon, right? So on the last time, I got you to go do your homework and look up the double slit experiment, right? And if you looked at that experiment, you would understand that when observing the photon, in order to acquire the light path information, the proton behaves differently. So let's go over it again. We have a image here to give us a visual of a photon, right? And we talked about the photon it doesn't have any mass, right? So if we took a marble, right, a pile of marbles and shot it through the double slit, right? The pattern on the back, after it comes through the divider, the partition with the two slits in it, right? Impacting, right? And going through the slits, right? On the other end, it came out in this pattern here, this clump pattern, where the marbles hit here, hit there, hit there, hit there, hit there, hit there, right? And it produced this pattern, right? So we know that if we take the smallest form of matter, which is a particle like an electron, right? It's a particle, right? It's like a tiny marble. And when we shot that through there, right, we got the same pattern, right? So we noticed we wanted to examine the light path information, so we had to become a detector. We had to become an observer, to which I call the troll, right? The trolls off of this double split experiment that pushed physicists into the quantum world, right, produced a pseudo conscious community where people are talking about waves, people are talking about their light beings, people are talking about that they can actually eat light other than the way that you're actually eating light. We know that it takes sunlight to grow the food that produce the food for the animals that we eat, meat and vegetables, right? But nobody is sitting around just eating nothing but sunlight, Mr. Dr. Alim Bey, right? And Alim Bey would have to explain, how does he get the photon to behave in its normal way when he observed it, since they are coming back telling us that they got the light path information? We understand that the observer is canceling out, right, the wave before it even gets started to come out of the gun, if you went in and looked at the double split experiment. When not observing the electron or the photon, it produces a doubling effect here like this. Instead of two patterns, it'll come out like this because we have interference, right? We have diffraction, right? We have the truss meeting with the crest, right? And canceling out the wave. And we have the crest meeting with the crest and amplifying the wave, right? When not being observed, when not being trolled, right? So we have the Madame Blavatsky's, we have we have the Nature Boys, we have the Dr. Arlene Bays, we have the Malachi Z. Yorks, we have all the pseudo weirdos that's taking their troll observation information to the pathway of light and trying to translate it into some type of spiritual concept, when we understand that the observation affects reality, right? That it creates an artificial world when man begins to measure it, right? To give himself some type of good orderly direction. But that's not how the photon or the light beam or the light wave or the light particle is behaving, Mr. Dr. Arlene Bay, for you to say you proved that we was God and you proved that we were light beings, right? But the only way you mimic the light beam is that you Negroes act different when you're on camera than when you're off camera, right? Just like the photon, right? The photon behaves different when being observed by the observer through the detectors called the eye. And you guys are talking about the eye, the third eye information, but